Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello. Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk about the characters and creators, and then examine the stories and the art. Today, I want to take a look at something from Japan. Well, this was produced in America, but the characters from Japan. This is from 1993. This is Ultraman 2. Second part of a 3-issue miniseries. And you may not be familiar with Ultraman unless you're into the Japanese Kaiju stuff. So let's take a look in the big book of knowledge and see what it has to say about our Kaiju fighting hero. Here we go. Ultraman number 2, 1993, from Ultra Comics. And these are the only comics I've ever seen from Ultra Comics. So I think that's all they published. Written by Dwayne McDuffie and drawn by Ernie Colon, with inks by Alfredo Alcala. Ultraman is part of the Ultra series produced by Tsuburaya Productions. I hope I pronounced that close enough. It's debuted with Ultra Q and Ultraman series in 1966. And he is the most prominent character of the tokusatsu superhero genre in Japan. Along with Godzilla from Toho Productions, he is a well-known part of the Kaiju genre. That's in movies and TV shows, and also comics and manga. There have been a myriad of Ultraman TV shows and movies, with a whole cast of Ultras, like a whole Ultra family. And the Ultras are giant superheroes who fight Kaiju. And this miniseries is a tie-in and a sequel to the early 90s era TV show, which was a Japanese-Australian production, and was syndicated in the U.S. for like 12 or 13 episodes, I think it was. Because I watched that series ages when it first came out, and I really enjoyed it. And it was kind of vague on where it was actually taking place, but since there were very few Japanese characters and more Caucasian and black characters in the show, and they all spoke with Australian accents, I just presumed that they were it had to take place in Australia somewhere. So, because they never defined the city that took place in. I enjoyed the show, and as I said, this is a sequel to that to that series, because they had one overall story arc told in episodic adventures, but it was had one main villain, which was an intelligent kaiju controlling some monsters. And then this is a sequel to that, taking place some years later, with the return of that particular villain. And there have been other series, Japanese series, since then. And from what I understand, that Marvel Comics has recently, when I mean recently, I mean in the last 2-3 years or so, has come back with a new Ultraman series, or maybe it was a mini series, I don't know, but which I have not seen. But I would like to. So, let's venture to the not too distant future, to a land down under, and then where we encounter giant monsters being defeated by Ultraman. Ultraman. There we go. Get a better look at that cover. And this gives you some perspective how large Ultraman is, holding this figure in his hands. Of course, that is the main character he is holding in his hand. They are combined as the main character. This cover, all three covers for this miniseries, was painted by Ken Steacy, who had previously done a lot of work for Comico. And I think he also did some other Japanese related stuff. I think he did some Astro Boy. I can be wrong. I could be misremembering, but I think. And then the interior art is by Gene Coulon. And I've talked a little bit about Gene Coulon before, not in any great depth. And I said Gene Coulon, and I meant Ernie Coulon. It's Gene Coulon and Ernie Coulon. And I always got their names mixed up. Okay, Ernie Coulon is from 1931 to 2019, and he was a Puerto Rican-born comic artist. He is known for his wide range of work, from young children's work to horror comics. After a brief stint assisting on the Palooka Joe strip in 1955, he began working for Harvey Comics and Paste Up. Later, he started drawing the juvenile Harvey books, primarily Casper and Richie Rich. And that has had a lot of influence in his work since then. And he did that for many years, through the 60s and 70s. Meanwhile, in the late 60s and 70s, he was doing work for the Warren and Skywald horror magazines, and also some Archie, even some Gold Key Man of the Atom. Through the 80s, he worked for both Marvel and DC, such as like on Iraq and Amethyst, and some graphic novels. And for Marvel, he did like a Battlestar Galactica book, and Damage Control. And of course, lots of other things as well. But those are primarily stuff. And he was really in the Damage Control, which was a quasi, well, was a humor title that was tied into their main universe, and and so many of his characters, I mean, had that Harvey stylization to it, because he'd done so much Harvey stuff for so many years that it was just second nature to him. And I think that also had some influence in his more realistic stuff, adventurous style. So let's take a quick look. This is the second like I said, the second book of the miniseries. And in the first issue, in the whole storyline, Ultraman came to Earth, but he can't exist in Earth's atmosphere for various reasons, depending on the series, for more than a few minutes at a time. And he has to pair up with a human, in this case, it was Shindo. I forgot. We'll see his name in here. And by this, he was found this man who was almost dead. He was dying. He was working for an organization, paramilitary organization, that was fighting giant monsters, and he was nearly killed. And Ultraman takes the fellow and imbues him with his life force, which resuscitates him, saves his life, and they are kind of bound together, a little like Shazam, Captain Marvel, and Billy Batson, and the like. And so the fellow lives his life, and then when necessary, he transforms into Ultraman. And the whole time they have a shared consciousness, kind of like Firestorm. And here, this is years later. You can see this drawing here, inside cover. Hello. You can get a good look at what this Ultraman looks like. Each Ultraman is slightly different. He some years after the series, they had parted ways. Ultraman had to go back to space, and now he had to return, and he had an encounter in space while he was returning to Earth, and of some kind. And here he is, kind of floating. He said, "The Delta Plasma Pendant is flashing. Its light leads me to Earth, a planet I haven't set foot upon in over 5 of their years. So there's some danger." And then here are at the Universal Multipurpose Agency headquarters, and they're under attack. Red alert! Something heading towards Earth. Something big. Well, they think they're under attack. What they're detecting is Ultraman, and they launch an attack because they presume it's another kaiju, and they attack him. And he's in trouble. And you can see Ernie Colon has a rather unusual style. Of course, some of this is with you're seeing is Alfredo Alcala's inks. Now, Alcala's inks often overpower the penciler's work, so his style is lost in the inking. But this time it's not. It's just looks all calm. And he's attacked. Kaboom! And he quickly counters. He doesn't want to harm anyone, and then takes off. The Hummers delayed me for too long. The glow from the pendant has worn off, so he can't find where the source of the trouble is, and he leads right to his goal, which is, oh no, Jack Shindo. That's his name, Jack Shindo. It was he who called me, and I am too late. Because here he was in some attack, and he was killed again, or nearly killed. And again, he bonds with Shindo. And there he is. Live, Jack Shindo, and shepherd wisely the power of Ultraman. I will, old friend, and your power will be slowly tested, for only I know that the Goodus has returned. And that's it. The Goodus was the main main villain from the series. And here we are. He's back at his headquarters trying to convince people that Goodus has returned. And it says, what attacked them? Said, we have to put every resource into finding him. We already know, Jack. Shortly after he shot down your Hummer, he left the planet. He flew to the moon. And they have a moon colony here. And and is attacking the moon colony. Got space marines with zap, 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 zap. And here's the really horrid monster. But he's intelligent, and but they don't know why he's on the moon. And here's a very interesting layout showing Jack running and then transforming into Ultraman. So Ultraman can head to the moon. Now, the thing is, and here we get a little flashback. Said of their reminding us of the career that they had together, fighting the various monsters over several years. But that the humans, except for Jack Shindo, don't know that the reason the villain went to the moon and attacked the moon colony is because very near the moon colony is a prison established by Ultraman for the defeated monsters, the monsters that they had previously defeated. And he rips open the thing and lets loose all these monsters once again. All kinds of weird, just horrid looking monsters come out on the moon, and Ultraman has to fight them. Oh, damn. He's done it. Gudis has done it. He's released all these monsters, and he has to come. Now, these are monsters that he took on one at a time before. Now he's got a whole army of them. But he's using them against each other. Whack, whack. Oh, he's down. Oh, is he out? No, not yet. But they're all attacking him en masse. And you see Ernie Colon's a real nice illustration. Good visual storytelling. Good use of anatomy. And some really imaginative monsters. Oh, my warning light is blinking. That means I can't maintain my enormous size for much longer. Bleep, bleep, bleep. It's only a few minutes. And he counterattacks. Boom, boom, zap. And then he takes off and able to defeat a couple others. I'll destroy him. They're welcome to try. Oh, my warning light. It's out. Oh, no, that means zap, zap, zap. Voomp. He's back to Jack Shindo. Fortunately, he had the foresight to wear a spacesuit for going to the moon. I'm human again. Indeed, you are, Jack Shindo. And soon both you and Ultraman will be nothing more than a memory. Dun, 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 dun. And coming next, victory. The jolting climax to this 3-part miniseries. And I don't remember what happens. I've got the rest of the series somewhere. And of course, he winds up defeating Gudis and all these other monsters and imprisoning them again. And so, but that's a lot of fun if you happen to like the Japanese kaiju movies or the shows. Now, I had never seen any of the movies until just recently. I got one, and it was the clips that I've seen before, though, very juvenile. I've got the original 1966 series, and it's fun. Of course, it's juvenile, but it's for a Japanese children's TV series. It was pretty well produced. And I've got a newer one of Ultraman Tiga, which is from the early 2000s, I think. And that's in all Japanese. The others have the dubbing, but this doesn't. And I would rather have it dubbed, even poorly, than have to read all the subtitles. But it's watchable, and it's fun. Again, it's juvenile, but it's much better produced than a lot of the older movies were, kaiju movies. Especially now, a lot of the earlier, less convincing computer animation stuff. And still the man and the giant and the rubber suit monsters, though, and so is Ultraman. But it's interesting. I like this idea of the giant being who fights off the monsters. I like that better than the than the men and robot stuff. But I still enjoy that too. So that's all we've got for Ultraman. Hope you enjoyed that. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. And remember, comics are art.